Part 4. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 31. Chapter 31. The Sad Feng Family. When Ms. Feng saw her twin children and her youngest son, her heart felt like a knife cutting her in unbearable pain. Ms. Feng struggled to sit up, and Yuan helped her up. Ms. Feng hugged her child, and the three children also leaned into her arms, especially Xiaoqi, who kept holding her neck for fear that Ms. Feng would disappear. The mother and son cried so hard that their hearts broke, making everyone sad and crying. Yu Heiran and his three brothers stood beside the bed, also sobbing quietly. Several women could not help crying when they saw this scene. Yu Dahai stood behind the three Yu Heiran brothers, looking helpless and bitter. Yuan sighed. She did not stop Xiao Wu and the others. It was not because she was indifferent, but because Feng's current mood was probably not adapted to the fact that she was already a peasant woman and the mother of 7 children. She was afraid that Ms. Feng would leave at all costs when she got better. While she is still not intact, let her know more about the children's love for her and their dependence on her. When Ms. Feng was well and wanted to leave, as much as the children loved her and relied on her now, she felt so reluctant to leave her at that time. As for whether Feng's current body can withstand emotional fluctuations, that doesn't exist. Yuan is not there to serve as a foil. Yuan did all this mainly for Xiaoqi. This child was most dependent on Feng. He was timid, sensitive, and introverted. If Ms. Feng leaves, Yuan believes that the child will definitely become autistic. As for the Big Five, including her, it doesn't matter whether they have Feng Shi or Yu Dahai. With Yuan's own ability, it would be damned if she couldn't support her family. In addition, if the Yu Heiran brothers want to pursue official careers, their relationship with their parents and family is very important. Whether the father is kind, the son is filial, the brothers are respectful, and the friends are respectful. No way, here, these are the basic criteria for measuring a person's character. You don't even have the most basic character. No matter how good your talent is, it's nothing more than in the eyes of the world here. At least still has value and can be used as fertilizer. There is no way. Since Yuan came to this world, she must abide by the rules here. It is impossible to change it now. But she is not a pedantic person. She can follow the rules here, but it does not mean that the rules here can restrain her and make her a victim. This is how Yuan tolerated them both. Be good to both of them, change this family, change them. Yuan saw that it was almost done, so she took Xiao and Xiaoliu down. Little Wu and Xiaoliu, be good, stop crying, mother is still sick. Oh, let's stop crying. When will mother get better? The two young ladies wiped away their tears and looked up at Yuan. In their impression, Ms. Feng had never expressed anything, let alone crying or laughing, and she hadn't said anything in a year. Today's incident really scared the three little guys. Fourth sister doesn't know either. If you are free every day, you can come and see me and accompany your mother. Maybe she will be fine soon. Yuan knelt down and touched the two little ones' heads. After a few days of exercise and good food and drink, Xiao and Xiaoliu's hair became much smoother, their faces grew fleshy, and their complexions became brighter. Looks much healthier. Liang Xiao nodded heavily. Yuan winked at Ms. Zhang outside the door. Ms. Zhang came in and led Xiao and Xiaoliu out. At this moment, Ms. Chen came over with medicine, and Yuan followed. She sat next to Feng, patted her body that was still twitching, and held the medicine bowl. Mom, stop crying, come here, drink this medicine, it was prescribed by the old doctor. Yuan injected some spiritual spring water when no one was paying attention. Ms. Feng placed Xiaoqi, who had fallen asleep crying, next to her. She looked at the three brothers Yu Heiran, then at Yu Dahai, and then at Yuan. Yuan saw that her eyes were less sad and more determined. Although Yuan didn't know why she was so determined, She could tell that Feng wanted to get better as soon as possible. She nodded to Feng, who took the medicine bowl and drank it slowly. After Mrs. Feng finished drinking, Yu Heiran quickly took the medicine bowl. Yuan helped her sleep, and soon Feng closed her eyes and fell asleep. "Aunt Chen, please stay here and guard my mother." Mrs. Chen nodded in response. Yuan glanced at Yu Dahai. This cheap dad had no sense of style. She was really worried about him. He was tall and long, with a little flesh on his face. Now his facial features looked much more pleasing to the eye. Yuan shook her head because of this temperament. Not only did Feng Shi dislike it, it even made her head hurt when she saw it. His wife is like this, even if he comes up to ask her, she will feel better. The mentality of male superiority and female inferiority in this world is too bad. If her man Yuan has this kind of character in the future, she will kick him to Africa. "Let's go, Dad, eldest brother, second brother, and third brother, let's go out and let mother sleep for a while." Yu Dahai, "Oh. 3 brothers, okay, let's take a look later." After finishing speaking, several people came out. Yuan closed the door smoothly, while Mrs. Chen stood guard by the door. Yuan Jian had been struggling like this all morning, and planned to teach them how to read in the afternoon. "Brother, go back and I will teach you after dinner." The brothers nodded and returned to the second hospital. At this time, Yuan saw Yu Dahai sitting alone in a small pavilion. She walked over and sat opposite him. When Yu Dahai saw it was Yuan, his lips twitched. "What's the matter with Xiao Sier?" Yuan shook her head, took a cup on the stone table and poured him a glass of water. "Drink some water." Yu Dahai took it, took a few sips, put it down, and sighed. "How did Dad learn to read from Uncle Zhu?" Yu Dahai replied listlessly, "I know more than 20 characters. More than 20 characters, which is about Yu Dahai's age. Dad is thinking about mother." Yu Dahai remained silent. "Dad, are you thinking about whether your mother will leave after she is well?" Yuan finally looked a little panicked when she saw Yu Dahai's face. "Have you guessed that my mother's identity is not simple?" Yu Dahai didn't answer. He lowered his head and didn't know what he was thinking. "What else did you not understand this?" The Yu Dahai people were stupid and fat, secretly marrying Fengs, and did not cure her. Yuan didn't ask any more questions. "It doesn't matter whether this matter is big or small. It just depends on what Feng will do in the future." When she returned to Sanjin Hospital, food was already laid out and waiting for her. "Fourth sister, I'm hungry, come and eat quickly." When Xiaoliu saw Yuan coming back, he came over and took her hand towards the table. "Eat when you are hungry, you don't have to wait for the fourth sister. When the fourth sister is at home, I will wait. If she is not at home, I will eat by myself." Xiaolu thought about it and said, "Hey, our Xiaoliu is a good kid. If such a big kid can do this, he can be considered a well-educated kid. Growing up in the old house, before I was raised crookedly and selfishly, the ancestral graves of the ancestors of the Yu family were already smoking. It's a pity that old Yu doesn't like these good children." End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 32. Chapter 32. Looking at Zhuangzi. After the 2 sisters had eaten, they came to the second courtyard. Yuan taught the characters that were to be taught today and then exercised. After they were free, the brothers and sisters went to see Feng again. Feng took a nap and drank some medicine, and she felt much better. 3 days have passed like this, and today is the day to go to the county town as agreed with shopkeeper Zhang. She got up early, explained to Zudagi, and then went out. When Yuan arrived at Yaxing, shopkeeper Zhang was already waiting. She stepped forward to say hello. "Good morning, shopkeeper Zhang." "Haha, it's good morning, miss Yu. Have you had breakfast?" Shopkeeper Zhang asked with a smile when he saw that Yuan had arrived early. Have eaten. Then let's go, it will take a lot of time on the way. Shopkeeper Zhang got on the carriage first and stabilized the carriage. Then he asked Yuan to get on the carriage. Yuan opened the curtain and got on the carriage with a slight jump. When shopkeeper Zhang saw it, he was surprised that this girl knew kung fu. After Yuan sat firmly, shopkeeper Zhang whipped up his riding whip and set out on the road. MSU, have you ever been to the county town? No, today is the first time. Is the county town big? If the county town is not big, she would have to consider the restaurant and go to the capital to check it out before making a reservation. Oh, then Miss you can visit the county town. The county town is much larger than our Qinglian town. In fact, I don't go to the county town very often. I only go to the county town when our boss has something to ask. Shopkeeper Zhang chatted with Yuan while driving the carriage. Yuan wanted to ask, your boss should be familiar with the county, right? There should be more schools in the county. Which school is better? Well, Miss Yu has asked the right person. I am familiar with it. My two sons also go to school in the county. There are 3 schools in the county. 2 of them are opened by 2 old masters. The number of students is relatively tight. The other one is it was also driven by an old man. He has a long story. After hearing this, Yuan had some thoughts in her mind. She liked this Mr. Shen better, so she stopped by there to have a look this time. This Mr. Shen reminded her of Liu Yuxi, a great poet from ancient times in her previous life. The 2 men had similar personalities. The life motto of Mr. Shen is, as a person or an official, the most important thing is to be happy. He has a straight heart and gets angry when he sees someone he doesn't like or something he doesn't like. Anyway, according to people nowadays, he just has a bad mouth and gets angry with everyone regardless of the person or the occasion. It feels good to those who have been criticized, but not to the person who was criticized. He has already become a bachelor. Because of his bad mouth, the emperor was so angry that he simply demoted her. With this disgusting mouth, he wanted to get as many beauties as possible to be attacked by this old man. So he feels good for a while when he is arrogant, and feels good all the time, and then he is done with it. He didn't care how the emperor demoted him, he would stay wherever he demoted him. At this time, how could the people who had been criticized by him in the past miss such a good opportunity? They all took a copy of his book. Now they say that he has no law and order. They clearly say that he has no regard for the court, and later they say that he has no regard for the emperor. What do they want? Just take part in whatever you want. Anyway, today's ginseng will be tomorrow's ginseng, and Mr. Shen will be demoted all the time. This year he will be demoted, next year he will be demoted, and he will be demoted every year. Until he can no longer be demoted, he became a gentleman in Daxing County, Huaiyang Prefecture to support his life. When shopkeeper Zhang saw that Yuan remained silent, he asked, MSU, are you interested in Mr. Shen? He only accepts students who are pleasing to his eye. I heard that there are currently less than 10 students there. Well, let's see when the time comes. There are 5 boys in my family who want to study. My family was poor before and they have never been enlightened. I plan to go and have a look. Those who have not been enlightened in other schools will not be accepted in the second half of the year. I will go next year. Another waste of time. She felt that Mr. Shen had a different temper than hers. He was a straight man, but he was knowledgeable and could be a bachelor and had enough ink in his stomach. As for being a human being and doing things, with her Yuan's guidance, it's fine if you don't become a wolf. 2 hours later, the carriage arrived at the gate of Daxing County. They saw a tall city wall that was 3 feet high, 3 eye-catching Chinese characters for Daxing County, and a thick wooden gate painted red. It was noon at this time, there were not many people entering, and there was an endless stream of people leaving. There are those who drive carriages, those who are on foot, those who are empty-handed, those who have backs, and those who carry burdens. Men and women, old and young, it was so lively. Yuan saw that the people here were generally much better dressed and looked better than the people in Qinglian town. This proves that the living standard in Daxing County is one level higher than that in Qinglian town. I think it is totally feasible to open a restaurant in this county, and I don't have to worry about no one coming to spend money. Miss Yu is coming to the city, shopkeeper Zhang shouted. Okay, Yuan lowered the curtains. The carriage driver entered the city and soon stopped. Miss Yu is here, shopkeeper Zhang stopped the carriage and shouted. Yuan opened the curtain and got out of the carriage, and saw that it stopped in front of a Fumanduo shop. There were not many people on the street now, but the shop door was open and no one was seen inside. Shopkeeper Zhang entered the store first, followed by Yuan. The format of this shop is similar to shopkeeper Zhang's dental shop. There is a reception counter in front, and a door on the left and right of the counter. There is a set of tables, chairs, and benches on the left and right sides of the lobby. Shopkeeper Wu, is shopkeeper Wu here? After a while, a middle-aged man in blue shirt who was about the same age as shopkeeper Zhang came out of the inner hall. He said with a smile, "Shopkeeper Zhang is here, who is this little girl?" Shopkeeper Zhang, "Oh, this is Miss Yu who came to see Zhuangzi." Shopkeeper Wu looked at Yuan suspiciously. Yuan said with a smile, "Hello, shopkeeper Wu." "Okay, Miss Yu, they say you don't hit anyone with a smile." Shopkeeper Wu saw the smile on Yuan's face, so he couldn't just ignore the person. "Shopkeeper Zhang, should we eat first or visit Zhuangzi first?" Yuan saw the two of them standing there without words. Shopkeeper Zhang first looked at shopkeeper Wu. Shopkeeper Wu hesitated for a while and said, "Let's eat first. We have a wife in the tooth shop who has cooked it. How about Miss Yu?" Yuan chuckled. "This is because I think she is a child and I look down on her so much." Shopkeeper Zhang said quickly, "Let's eat at the nearby Beiwei restaurant." He looked coldly at shopkeeper Wu, a man with short-sighted eyes. The wink she gave him before was to look at his face. Yuan quickly waved her hand, "Let's just eat here. After eating, I will look at Zhuangzi and make sure I have other things to do." Shopkeeper Zhang shook his head. Yuan and shopkeeper Zhang ate at Yaxing at noon. After dinner, shopkeeper Wu took them to the south of the city. After walking for 5 miles, we stopped in front of a village. Yuan got out of the car and looked up at the village. It was surrounded by walls and the gate was closed. The outside of the house looked 50% new. Shopkeeper Wu took out the key and opened the door. He went in first, followed by Yu and Wan. There is a second courtyard on the right side of the entrance. The entrance to the courtyard and the main entrance are all paved with stones. As far as the eye can see, there are fields. The rice has just been harvested in the fields, and the piles are still there. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 33. Chapter 33 is finalized. Yuan saw that there was a mountain behind this village, and the direction was Dakingshan, which should be connected. She was still satisfied, and the three of them returned to Yahang. The three of them sat down, and the boy immediately served tea. "How is it, Miss Yu?" shopkeeper Wu asked anxiously. He saw Yuan again and again without asking any questions. He was in a state of confusion, wondering what she was thinking. "Well, it's okay. How much money did the village sell for? Is the village's procedures complete, and whether the owner of the village has used the village as a mortgage or anything else? This Zhuangzi looks good. Why did the host take action in such a hurry?" She was afraid that there was something ulterior in between. When shopkeeper Wu heard this, he thought that this little girl looked young, but she was quite sophisticated in her work. Miss Yu, don't worry, there is nothing wrong with this village, it's clean. The main reason is that the owner has many sons, so he can support his son's education, so he sold this village. The village is full of fine farmland, with 10 taels of silver per acre, which is exactly 1,000 acres, and 10,000 taels of silver. Yuan frowned. The price was too high. In the town, it cost 8 taels of silver per acre, but it was only 2 taels of silver per acre. It was not worth it. Shopkeeper Wu, this price is too expensive. If the owner wants it, this means that if your dental shop adds it yourself, you can lower the price yourself. Bullying her for being a little girl who doesn't understand the market? 2,000 taels. In the countryside, a family cannot earn these 2,000 taels in a lifetime. Shopkeeper Wu has a big appetite and looks ugly when he eats. Shopkeeper Wu, this. Yuan, I only have 8,000 taels to pay. In addition, I want to buy a house on Anping Street. You see, if you decide, I will go and look at the house. If you like it, we will buy it together. Shopkeeper Wu took a breath. This little girl wants to buy a house. But when he was about to speak, Yuan spoke again. Shopkeeper Wu, if you have a shop suitable for a restaurant, I'll take a look. Puff, puff, puff. Shopkeeper Wu was so shocked that he choked on the tea he drank. Shopkeeper Zhang was sitting there drinking tea, not surprised at all. Yes, 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 yes. Shopkeeper Wu stood up immediately, ignoring his embarrassed look. Shopkeeper Wu immediately took out his book and flipped through it. There are 2 houses for sale on Anping Street, and a 3-story restaurant for sale on Hongfu Street, which happens to be in the downtown area. The previous owner also failed to open a restaurant. This restaurant has been closed down. Don't worry, the owner asked for a low price. The business was not good for a month after they were renovated and opened. It has been in our store for a long time and has not been sold. They are anxious, they also need to recover funds for turnover, so the price is not high. Yuan nodded, okay, let's go and have a look. Shopkeeper Wu immediately drove a carriage to take Yuan to visit 3 places. He could no longer underestimate this girl now. After the clock was set in the afternoon, Yuan just finished reading the 3 places. Back at Yahang, Yuan picked 10 more people to buy together. This trip was really worth it. When Yuan saw the restaurant for the first time, she fell in love with it. The decoration was new and antique. The lobby on the 1st floor received ordinary guests, and all the rooms on the 2nd and 3rd floors were a private room. The entire restaurant has red brick walls. The entrance to the lobby on the 1st floor is the cashier, and the lobby is surrounded by green plants. It's just that no one has taken care of it for a long time, and half of it is dead. With a table in the middle is a pillar, and there is a place to hang a lamp on the pillar. Beside the counter is the stairs, and under the stairs is the door into the kitchen. The layout of the 2nd and 3rd floors is the same. Each private room is equipped with different curtains, ranging from simple and elegant to noble. The tables, chairs, and benches are also new. The kitchen and warehouse are spacious, and there is a small courtyard on the 2nd floor at the back where people can live. As for the house on Anping Street, Yuan is interested in a 4-in-a-yard building, which is much larger than the ones in the town. It is 70% new and has 4 small gardens. There is also an open space in the backyard, suitable for Yu Heiran and the others to practice martial arts. It is also very close to Mr. Shen's school. Miss Yu, have you decided? When we went out to look at the restaurant, the boy went to ask the owner of Zhuangzi if he could sell it for 8,000 taels, Shopkeeper Wu asked. There is nothing wrong with saying that money can make the world go round. You see, Shopkeeper Wu is so efficient at doing things right now. Regardless of whether the price was what the owner wanted, Shopkeeper Wu took care of it immediately. Well, I want both. We can't sign the contract today. I'll give you the banknote first, and I have to go back to the house to clean. Okay, Shopkeeper Wu readily agreed, he couldn't ask for more. Shopkeeper Zhang was smiling all the way, and felt relieved when he saw that the matter was done. Miss Yu, let's stay at the inn tonight, it won't be too late to clean tomorrow. It's okay, there are still shops that are not closed now, and you can still buy things. It's really embarrassing to live in an inn with 10 people, and all of them are sallow and thin, and their clothes are shabby. So Yuan gave 16,600 taels of silver notes, 8,000 taels for Zhuangzi, 7,000 taels for the restaurant, and 1,600 taels for the house, to shopkeeper Wu, and then took the key. She selected Xiaobo, who had been a steward, from among the 10 servants, gave him the key and 200 taels of silver to buy things, and went back to the house. After Xiaobo took the people away, Yuan said to Shopkeeper Zhang, "Shopkeeper Zhang, thank you for bringing me here. Do you want to go back tomorrow or stay a few more days? I may stay here for 10 days and a half. Shopkeeper Zhang said with a smile, "Miss Yu is busy with you. I will check on my son later. I will go back tomorrow, and I need someone to guard the tooth shop." Yuan knew they had something to do and said, "Then I'll leave first while you are busy. It's good to go, Miss Yu. If you need anything, just come to me directly at Yaxing. I'll send it to your house when it's done tomorrow." Shopkeeper Wu immediately sent Yuan out. "Okay, Shopkeeper Wu, please come back." Yuan was wandering slowly on the street alone. It has been almost 10 days since she came to this world, and she has never been as leisurely as she is now. She never had any leisure time in her previous life, and she never had any leisure time here. When she gets leisure time in the future, she will still have to walk around. Being a travel companion here is truly worthy of the name. This county is indeed big enough and very prosperous. The streets are lined with neat rows of antique and exquisite buildings. The roads paved with bluestones are smooth and tidy, and the buildings with red bricks and cyan bricks have cyan tiles on each building, and various beasts are carved on the eaves. It only takes half an hour from Yaxing to the house on Anping Street. At this time, there were only a few people walking on the street, all in a hurry. Yuan also quickened her pace. Yuan arrived outside the door. The lights in the city had just started to light up, and lanterns were hung under the eaves of every house to make it easier for people who came home late. Knock, button, button, Yuan rang the door knocker. The person who opened the door was Uncle Shu, the concierge she specially selected. "Miss, you're back, come in quickly." Uncle Shu quickly asked Yuan to come in. End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 34. Chapter 34 Breakthrough. Yuan entered the house and saw lights hung on the corridor, but no one was there. "Where are Xiaobo and the others?" "Miss, they are all having dinner, and they just finished laying your bedroom," Uncle Shu said respectfully. "Oh, then just ask Aunt Chu to bring me rice and water." "Okay, old slave, let's go now." Uncle Shu went to the kitchen. Yuan opened the door to the courtyard. There were lights inside. She walked into the courtyard and was hit by the refreshing fragrance of osmanthus. In the middle of the yard, a huge osmanthus tree has begun to bloom. After the rice harvest comes August, which is when the sweet-scented osmanthus blooms. She also chose this house because of the sweet-scented osmanthus tree. It suited her very well. Yuan walked through the small garden in the courtyard. The courtyard was full of unknown flowers, many of which had withered, leaving only flower seeds. This courtyard is similar to those in the town. It is a small courtyard with 3 main rooms in the middle, 1 wing room on each side, and wing rooms on the left and right sides. The rain corridor forms a shape from the entrance gate, connecting to the courtyard. The entire house is paved with stone slabs, and each yard is paved with blue-white granite. It is very comfortable to step on the stone slabs in summer. Yuan stepped on the granite, which could reflect light at night, so she was not afraid of falling when walking at night. Yuan walked up the stairs to the main room. She opened the door, and the middle room became a living room, with good tables, chairs, and benches arranged in a regular manner. She sat down and then opened the bedroom on the right. The room was very warmly decorated. On the right side of the door was a dressing table and a bed, all in lavender tones. The upper right corner is the wardrobe, and going down is a large cabinet. Opposite the bed is a row of low cabinets for easy storage of things. In the lower left corner is the door into the penthouse. Going up again, there is a window on the left wall with lavender curtains. 3 feet below the window and between the bed is a round table with 4 chairs. There are teapots, cups, and an oil lamp on the table. Yuan was very satisfied. It was different in the county. Some of the servants were sold from wealthy families. She was an expert in this area and did not need to worry about her as the master. Yuan saw that there was a bookcase missing in the room, so she asked Uncle Xiao to buy it tomorrow and make up for it. After a while, Aunt Chiu brought food and water. She put the food and water away, opened the closet, took out Yuan's pajamas and put them away, then waited next to Yuan. "Miss, is this food to your liking?" Aunt Chiu saw that Yuan had no appetite, so she ate a little. "Well, it's a bit unpalatable. I'll teach them how to cook tomorrow. I bought them all, trained them and put them in the restaurant." Yuan paid for each dish, and it looks good. If chili sauce is added, the taste will not be overstated, and it will definitely sell better. The people Yuan bought were basically chefs. Not only were the chefs hired from outside expensive, they were also hard to find if she was not familiar with them, and they didn't last long. The people who bought it were different, they were all her own, and they didn't dare to betray her with the deed of sale in her hands. She plans to train at home in the past few days and then prepare to open the business. Aunt Chiu was not surprised when she heard Yuan talk about opening a restaurant. They were all old people in the world. Even though the master was young, he came to the county town alone to buy such a large property. He should not be underestimated. There is also the aura about her that is awe-inspiring. "Miss, can this slave learn?" Aunt Chiu was very worried. She also liked cooking. Her ancestor was an imperial cook, but she was demoted to her hometown for committing a crime. Later, her family fell into decline and she was forced to marry, but she did not want to fall into a wolf's den. Her husband's family used her to learn the cooking skills passed down from her family. He found an unruly excuse for her and sold her. After several twists and turns, she was now bought back by Yuan. "Of course. Whether you go to a restaurant or stay with me from now on, you must learn to cook. You are also tired today, go down and rest." "Okay, thank you." Miss Aunt Chiu was about to kneel down and kowtow, but Yuan held her back. Yuan waved her hand and said, "My family is from the countryside, so we don't need these false courtesy, just get things done." "Okay, that slave has left." Aunt Chiu went out with the plate. "Miss, you are so strong." After Aunt Chiu left, Yuan took a bath, went to bed and read for a while, then turned off the light. Then he entered the space, fed the little snake and 2 little white tigers, and then harvested a crop of rice and pepper. Yuan has tried that the spiritual spring in the space can ripen crops. The crops mature faster after being watered by the spiritual spring. So she planted more of what she had harvested before, and she could harvest another crop in 3 days. She piled the peppers and packed the rice in the cloth bags she had asked Aunt Wu to sew before. The yields harvested in this space are much higher than those outside, and the grains are plump and large. Even the peppers are half as big. This way Yuan doesn't have to worry about not having enough pepper. After finishing this, Yuan practiced some practice in the space before going to bed. By the way, she roasted a chicken for the little snake. She was so happy that the little snake flew around in the space. The next day, Yuan got up early, ran to the yard, and sat down to practice until the spiritual energy in her dantian was clean. When the rising sunlight hit Yuan, a large amount of spiritual energy swarmed in. She quickly ran her skills and absorbed the spiritual energy. Suddenly, she felt a swelling and pain in her dantian, as if her dantian was about to swell. Yuan didn't know what was going on, so she had to grit her teeth and run the technique. After a long time, she seemed to hear a pop sound in her dantian, and the excess spiritual energy seemed to find an outlet and flowed to all parts of her body. Her body suddenly felt refreshed, and she now felt that her body was full of infinite power. Is this a breakthrough? No matter how stupid she was, Yuan knew that this was a breakthrough. Sure enough, her brain felt swollen and painful, and rows of words appeared in her mind, connecting with the first level of skills. Yuan immediately read it carefully, and then followed the oral instructions on the second level of exercises to activate the spiritual energy in the body, and it was true. An hour later, Yuan got up and saw Aunt Chu standing aside. She smiled slightly at Aunt Chu, who also knew that she would not be disturbed by others standing here. "Miss, breakfast has been brought, and my servant will bring you bath water right away." Yuan could smell the stench on her body now, and she nodded sheepishly. It turns out that this is the legendary Panmero baptism. Although Yuaner has the memory, it's one thing to experience it myself. Yuan took a shower and changed clothes comfortably, and came to the kitchen after eating. In the kitchen, everyone else is there except Uncle Shu. Today all 9 people put on new clothes and were cleanly washed. They were no longer as slovenly as they were yesterday. "Well, you are all here. Today I will teach you how to learn to cook the dishes that will be served in my restaurant in the future. If you want to learn to be a chef in the restaurant, please listen to me carefully." When the 9 people heard it, they were very willing. They had done this business themselves, so they naturally liked it. Everyone was very curious when they heard Yuan say there was a new way to do it. End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 35. Chapter 35 Improved Vegetables. So Yuan told them twice how to make chili sauce and what dishes were suitable for adding chili pepper, making sure that they had memorized them all, and then asked each of them to cook a specialty dish. By noon, basically everyone had prepared the food and served it. Uncle Xiao made a dish of braised snowfish, and Yuan tasted it. The meat was tender, juicy, slightly spicy, and had a perfect color, flavor. After one bite, she couldn't put down her chopsticks. After Xiaobo tasted it himself, he was shocked by his cooking skills. The second dish is from Li Tianming and Uncle Li. He made a stir-fried pork intestine. This low-cost and disgusting large intestine made Uncle Li reach the highest level of cooking. According to Yuan's instructions, he added wine and chili peppers to the large intestine, as well as peppercorns picked from her space. The taste was simply the most delicious dish he had ever tasted in his life. Fragrant, spicy, crispy, and numb, without any of the original smell of large intestine. The third dish is from Aunt Chu, a foie gras with fine cutting skills, fresh and tender taste, slightly numb and spicy, making it a dish with a different flavor. Yuan looked at Aunt Chu. It is not easy to make this dish. The foie gras needs to be cooked over high heat. It should be more aged and less cooked. Aunt Chu really gave her an unexpected surprise. The fourth course is a pot of chicken soup. The cook is a tall and lanky man with a high school diploma. It is estimated that his family's hope is that he will be the top scorer in high school, but they don't want to become a sold-out cook. This chicken soup is also made from wild mushrooms to boil oil, as Yuan said, and the oil is added with water and seasonings to cook the chicken. How come the chicken soup is so fresh? The fifth dish is Yuan's favorite shredded pork with green pepper, which is changed into shredded pork with green bamboo shoots. The taste is different with the addition of chili pepper. The sixth dish is stewed hare. The seventh dish is, of course, the fried spicy pheasant. The eighth course is a stew of chicken stewed with mushrooms. I believe everyone will not like this stew. The ninth dish, braised pork platter, is a good dish to go with wine. Yuan believes that these 9 improved dishes will definitely make guests eat their tongues. What's more, the 9 of them can't cook only one dish. I believe that with their own intelligence, they can make more delicious dishes. Okay, everyone's cooking is very good today, what do you think? Miss, the taste of this improved dish is indeed extraordinary, Xiaobo said. Indeed, I didn't know that dishes could be so seasoned. This pepper, Xanthoxylum bungianum, is really a treasure. Yes, there is also that wine, it turns out that it can remove the smell. Everyone started talking in a flurry, as if a door was opened for them all at once. Yuan listened to their discussion and felt happy. She really felt like she had found a treasure. She believed that these 9 people would definitely bring her unexpected surprises in the future. In this backward world, it is rare that they are not stubborn and self-proclaimed. At noon, I ate just these 9 dishes. Each dish was delicious. Yuan had a delicious meal. After lunch, Yuan handed them how to make the chili sauce, leaving a bag of chili in the kitchen and asking them to make the chili sauce first, just in time for the restaurant to open. Aunt Chu and Xiaobo followed Yuan back to their yard. She pointed to the stools in the living room for them to sit down. She said, "Uncle Xiao, I called you two here because I have something for you to do. I plan to open the restaurant in 10 days. Firstly, during this period you can practice more, and you can also think about other food that can be eaten in the restaurant. Second, Mr. Xiao, the manager of this restaurant, will take charge of it first. Third, Aunt Chu, the chef of the restaurant, will take care of it. If there is anything else that I haven't thought of, well, you can tell me at any time. As for the waiters in the restaurant, there is still time before the restaurant opens, so we can just go to the store to buy them. We are in the catering business, so I don't trust the waiters hired from outside." Yuan believes that if the restaurant business is booming in the future, there will definitely be people suffering from pink eye and trying their best to cause trouble. The employees in the restaurant are the best targets. Although those who buy it back are not necessarily loyal and will not betray their master. But to a certain extent, they are much more loyal to their master than those recruited from outside. Uncle Xiao and Aunt Chu were very happy and fully accepted her arrangement. Winning the attention and favor of their master was what they dreamed of as servants. Xiaobo was a little uneasy at first. He didn't know what Yuan was doing alone with the two of them. He thought there was something he couldn't do well. Hearing what Yuan said, Xiaobo was pleasantly surprised. The lady entrusted him with the management of the restaurant, which was beyond his expectation. He would be lying if he said he was not impressed. He stood up and bowed respectfully to Yuan. "Don't worry, miss, I will not let you down." At his age, he can't even say flattering words, so he can only speak with practical actions. Yuan nodded, very satisfied with Xiaobo's reaction. "Well done is better said than done." Aunt Chu was even more delighted. She did not expect that Yuan would entrust her with the important task of managing the kitchen. This was the master's trust in her. It almost made her burst into tears, and she secretly took care of the kitchen and her own affairs for her master from now on. "Don't ever be sold to or beaten again." "Miss, don't worry, I will do a good job." Yuan nodded, "As long as you do a good job, I will not treat you badly." She had an idea. "Everyone here has been a cook. Does anyone know how to make wine? There are too many fruits in her space, and she really doesn't know how to deal with them. Uncle Xiao, Aunt Chu, do you know how to make wine?" Bo Xiao shook his head first. "Miss, this old slave doesn't know how." Aunt Chu bit her lip and said in embarrassment, "What kind of wine does the lady want to make?" "I can order fruit wine." Her ancestor was an imperial chef, and not only was he good at cooking delicious food, but he was also good at making fruit wine. At that time, her ancestor once enjoyed great fame in the palace, relying on this fruit wine. Who in the emperor's harem doesn't like to have a few sips of wine, but ordinary wine is too strong and tastes bad. If you drink a small drink to enjoy yourself, a large drink will hurt your health. Later on, her ancestor passed the meal to her master for the last time. It happened that the master liked to drink a few sips and hated the taste of the white wine. At this time, the ancestors offered the fruit wine they brewed. From then on, fruit wine became popular in the palace. Yuan's eyes lit up. Really? Oh, Aunt Chu, this is great. She actually bought a bunch of God of Wealth gifts back. This is her luck. So Yuan sent Xiaobo back to the kitchen, and she went into the room and took out a bag of fruit from the space and gave it to Aunt Chu. Aunt Chu took the cloth bag from Yuan's hand. She didn't ask Yuan where the fruit came from, just like the peppers and Sichuan peppercorns. This is the most basic thing about being a servant. You will know what you should know, and just keep your mouth shut about what you shouldn't know. Aunt Chu, just put the jar of wine you have brewed in the cellar if you need anything, ask Uncle Xiao. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 36. Chapter 36 Shenfuzi Yi. Yes, miss, I'll go right now. Aunt Chu carried the bag and headed to her room in the west wing. Miss, shopkeeper Wu of Yaxing is here, outside the door, Xiaobo came to report. So fast? Shopkeeper Wu's efficiency is really impressive. Invite him to the living room of the second courtyard, I will be there soon. Yuan glanced at the yard and saw that there was no suitable living room. It seemed that one would have to be built because people would inevitably come and go in the future. She straightened her clothes a little and walked towards the second courtyard. The second time we entered the courtyard, shopkeeper Wu was sitting in the living room drinking tea. Uncle Xiao and a young man were standing aside with an armful of things. Yuan twitched and quickly entered the living room. Shopkeeper Wu just needs a servant, why bother you to go there in person? Shopkeeper Wu asked the servant next to him to put the gifts on the table and said, Hello, Miss Yu, it should be, this is a little thought from Wu, don't think it's shabby. As he spoke, he took out 3 house deeds with big red stamps and Zhuangzi's field deeds, and handed them to Yuan together. Shopkeeper Wu, you're welcome. Please drink tea. I just have something to trouble you with. Yuan carefully read the deed and found no problems, then threw it into the space. Shopkeeper Wu sat down. He picked up the teacup and took a sip of tea. Miss Yu, please speak. It's like this. You know that my restaurant is about to open. I have no shortage of people in the kitchen. I also want 30 people for other people. 20 people who can run errands and do odd jobs will be enough, and 10 people who can grow crops will be enough. Up on the farm the rice has been harvested, and wheat is about to be planted next year, and there is still no one in the village. Yuan also stated her request. Shopkeeper Wu immediately said, Okay, Miss Yu can come to Yaxing tomorrow when she has time. If there is nothing else, Wu will leave first. Yuan knew that shopkeeper Wu must go back and prepare good people, and it might not be enough to meet her requirements at the same time. Okay, shopkeeper Wu, walk slowly, and Uncle Xiao will help me drop off the guests. Shaib, okay, miss. Then Wu will leave first and wait for Miss Yu to drive away. Although the business of 30 people was not big, shopkeeper Wu did not dare to neglect at all. This little ancestor might want to buy something tomorrow, so she must not offend her and handle her affairs beautifully. Xiaobo sent shopkeeper Wu away. Yuan had nothing to do in the afternoon. She wanted to visit Mr. Shen. When she left, she happened to meet Uncle Xiao coming back. Uncle Xiao, take the storage room sent by shopkeeper Wu and write down the details. I'll go out for a while. Xiaobo agreed. Miss, Do you want me to follow you personally? Yuan waved her hand. She was used to being free on her own, but she was not used to having a follower by her side, and it also affected her ability to do things. Yuan took out another 1,000 taels of silver notes from the space, the bank notes recovered by shopkeeper Wu of the dental shop, and gave them to Uncle Xiao. Uncle Xiao, if you have time this afternoon, buy a carriage and a bookcase for my room. The rest will be used as expenses in the house, as well as changing the cards outside to Yufu. Xiaobo took the banknote and thought that this young master was not merciless at all when handling banknotes. He said, "Okay, miss, I will handle it right away." Yuan nodded and walked out of the door. She estimated that the time should be Weishi now, and Mr. Shen should still be teaching. Mr. Shen's school is just a private school, but it is a higher level than the private school in the village. You can directly participate in the provincial examination in the name of his private school. This can be regarded as a special feature after he was demoted. His knowledge cannot be buried. Yuan thought that it would be enough to take the provincial examination. Now Yu Heiran and his brothers have not yet entered the school. They have not passed the college examination. It is too early to say that the provincial examination is too early. The scientific examination system here is the same as in ancient times. The college examination is held in June every year, and only those who are young students can participate in the rural examination held in the county or prefectural city every 3 years in August. After becoming a scholar after the provincial examination, you are eligible to participate in the examination held in Kinchinj the following spring. The top 20 after the joint examination took part in the palace examination with questions personally set by the emperor, and were ranked first, second, and third. Yuan quickened her pace and walked to Mr. Shen's private school. She wanted to meet this legendary wonder. The house is not far from the private school. Turn left when you go out and it is the 5th house. When Yuan arrived, she looked outside the house for a while. The house was half the size of hers, so it was probably just a second indoor courtyard. Now that the door was closed, it was hard for her to knock on the door, as that would make her look rude. Yuan looked around and saw a small tea shop opposite the private school. She stepped forward and went in. It's not big inside, the weather is still hot at this time, and there are several people eating refreshments. She chose a seat by the window where she could see the main door of the private school and sat down. As soon as she sat down, the waiter came up and asked, "What would you like to drink, sir?" Yuan, "A pot of tea and a plate of any pastries." Waiter, "Okay, sir, please wait a moment." Yuan was listening to the chatting of the people inside. Those people should all be acquaintances, and they were all talking about which one is more beautiful, the wife of the boss and the daughter-in-law of the West family. Someone's Warren in the capital, someone's back house in the prefecture, someone's daughter in the county. Yuan curled her lips. In ancient times, there was no internet, so it was all spread by word of mouth. The gossips with those in the previous life were still lively. "Sir, your tea and snacks," the waiter came up quickly. "If you need anything else, my dear guest, just call me. You can use it as you please." The waiter positioned himself and stepped back. Yuan nodded and thought to herself that the waiter was very qualified and she would need waiters like this in her restaurant from now on. Yuan took a sip from the teacup. "Well, this tea is not bad, with a light tea aroma. The refreshment was good, it looked like mung bean cake." She picked up a piece and took a bite. Well, it was slightly sweet but not greasy, refreshing, and it melted away after a few bites. Yuan didn't expect that there was such delicious food here. She frowned, why didn't so many people come to eat such delicious food? Seeing that the waiter was free at the moment, she beckoned to him. She could buy these pastries and eat them, but she didn't know if they would sell them. "Young guest, I have your orders." The waiter stepped forward. "Little brother, I would like to ask if you can sell the tea snacks in your store. I want to buy some and eat them back. These pastries are so delicious." The waiter looked embarrassed and said, "I don't know about this. I've never sold it before. If you're not in a hurry, young guest, I'll ask Master Shen after school." "Is it Mr. Shen's shop?" Yuan was a little surprised. This unworldly Mr. Shen opened a tea shop? "Yes, but the pastries are made by my wife. Mrs. Shen brings them here every day. In the afternoon after school, she will come to the tea shop to sit and drink tea. Master Shen really has a unique temperament. Since he is coming, Yuan naturally has to wait." "Little brother, thank you, then I'll wait for Master Shen." It just so happened that she didn't know how to find Master Shen, so she couldn't miss this opportunity. In the eyes of others, Master Shen may be just a master, but Yuan doesn't think so. How can he be a simple person who can achieve the position of a bachelor? End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 37. Chapter 37 Master Shen 2. Just talking about this tea shop, it can be seen that Master Shen is definitely a person with good taste, a leisurely life and not pedantic. Which person with a great academic background would sacrifice his dignity to open a tea shop? Still in this world where class status is clearly defined. Yuan ate, drank, and listened, and heard a few useful things. The Daxing County magistrate's surname is Ma. He was once a top 3 scholar and was considered to be very knowledgeable in the Great Yan Empire. His temperament is almost the same as Master Shen's, but he gets angry when he doesn't see anyone. He is considered an old county magistrate here. He has never been promoted or demoted. He has been doing this for 30 years. His political performance is mediocre, neither standing out nor lagging behind, just right. Yuan smiled. This is really an interesting person. If you can be wise and keep yourself safe for 30 years in the officialdom, this person will live like a monkey and his ancestors. After Yuan drank a pot of tea, the door of Master Shen's house finally opened, and several students came out, similar in age to Yu Haoshan, and left carrying book boxes. Yuan saw that the book box seemed to be made of bamboo, but fortunately it was not a wooden box. Then came a spirited old man in his 50s, wearing a blue gown and wearing cloth shoes. His hair was tied into a bun with a wooden hairpin, and he had a grey beard. His slightly arrogant face was incompatible with his wise demeanor. Yuan twitched her lips. What kind of contradictory person is this? As soon as he entered the tea shop and sat at the table next to Yuan, he even glanced at Yuan curiously. The waiter stepped forward and said, "Master, here are your tea and books." "Pook," Yuan couldn't help but laugh. She was drinking tea and reading in the tea shop. Master Shen was so elegant. Master Shen frowned and glanced at Yuan. The little girl laughs at the old man. Yuan turned around, facing Master Shen and nodded. Master Shen is so elegant. At this time, the waiter said to Master Shen, "Master, this young guest wants to buy some cakes. I don't know whether to sell them or not, so the young guest is waiting for you here." Master Shen looked at Yuan. Yuan nodded. "I happened to pass by today and ate this mung bean cake that was very delicious. I want to take some back to my family to eat. Does Master Shen have any extra?" Master Shen opened the book. The little girl didn't tell the truth. "Well, Mrs. Shen should go to the Ministry of Punishment. The little girl is really waiting for Mr. Shen." Yuan felt ashamed. Master Shen was in the wrong profession. In criminal investigations, there should be very few unjust, false, and wrong cases. You have children at home who want to study. Tell me why you came to see me. Why did you come to see me? Master Shen didn't even take a glance at Yuan, drinking tea and reading a book. Yuan, Master Shen, are you okay with this? Yuan, there are 4 brothers in my family who want to study. They are not in the county. They have just learned how to read for a few days and want to come to Master Shen to study. The reason why they came to see Master Shen is to see what kind of person he is. I don't want to be a master who misleads his disciples. Oh, Master Shen raised his head and looked at the little girl in front of him. This was a bit interesting coming from a little girl. He narrowed his eyes and said, "Little girl, what you said is very sad. Since ancient times, masters have always chosen their students, and no students have chosen their masters." Yuan shook her head. "Master is wrong. It has been since ancient times. Where children study, they are not reading. The things in the books are dead, only the human brain is alive." "Haha, how old are you, little girl? You have a good brain. I guess your brothers are all from the same mother, right?" Master Shen put down the book in his hand. He had never seen anyone in his life who was better than this little girl. There is a lot of rice, this little girl is not simple, which makes him interested. "Yuan. Of course I am born from a mother, so I shouldn't be annoying to my wife. Have you chosen my wife?" Yuan nodded. "Yes." Master did not get angry or curse. Yuan does admire Master Shen a little. His magnanimity alone makes people feel inferior to him. The master's dignity cannot be challenged, and his knowledge cannot be questioned. This Master Shen is still calm and composed, worthy of being a bachelor. There is another thing that people didn't open their mouths to criticize her. "Well, I'll give it to you. I'll take it from your brothers. You can come to me at any time. In addition, I can sell you today's cakes." This girl is so interesting. It is the first time in decades of his life that he has met such an insightful girl. It's a pity that she is a girl. The imperial court does not look down on women. "Hey, I don't want that terrible court." Is it so easy?" Yuan blinked. She immediately stood up and gave Master Shen a respectful salute. "Thank you, Master." When the waiter brought the cakes, everyone was stunned. Is Mr. Shen so good-tempered and talkative today? The weather is so sunny today. Haha, thank you so much, I hope you don't regret it. After saying that, Master Shen left the tea house with the book in his arms and went back. Well, what Master Shen said is so temperamental. Yuan took the cakes, paid the money and left the tea shop. She took a look at Master Shen's house and returned to Yu Mansion. Yuan returned to the room and put the cakes into the space. "Miss, will dinner be delivered to you or should we go to the kitchen to eat it?" Aunt Chiu's voice sounded. "No, I won't eat tonight." She ate at the tea shop all afternoon, and her stomach was swollen and round. The next day, Yuan finished running and practiced for an hour before letting Xiaobo drive the carriage to Yaxing. The carriage stopped at Fumanduo Yaxing. Yuan got off the car and entered Yaxing. When shopkeeper Wu saw her, he immediately greeted her with a smile. "Good morning, Miss Yu. We are ready." Yuan nodded and followed shopkeeper Wu into the backyard. Many people were cooling off their clothes in the backyard, some were embroidering cloth, some were walking in the yard with nothing to do, and there were even children crying loudly. Seeing shopkeeper Wu come in, they lined up consciously. Yuan couldn't help but lament that in this hummed-up society, people are sold and bought like animals, without any human rights at all. They probably don't understand whether human rights are square or round. Yuan finally picked 40 people. She really couldn't stand the pitiful looks in their eyes, even though she was a Rakshasa who killed without blinking an eye. Yuan paid the money and took the people to Xiaobo, and then she walked around the city. She walked in the crowd and looked here and there, like a curious baby. This county town is indeed much more prosperous than the town. There is really everything you need for food, clothing, and necessities. Public security is also very good, with government officers patrolling with swords from time to time. When Yuan passed by a grocery store, she stepped inside. "Sir, what do you need?" The waiter saw Yuan coming in and hurried forward. He had been waiting for a long time and no customer came to the door. The first one who came in was a little girl. "Let me take a look first." Yuan looked along the shelves. The shelves are full of complete items, including porcelain, ceramics, even pots and pans. Yuan moved to another shelf, which she didn't dare to be interested in either. Huh, what is this? Yuan saw that the ground next to the shelf was filled with bags and wooden boxes. End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 38. Chapter 38, Making Flowers. Yuan squatted down and opened a wooden box, which contained a box of books. She took out a book and flipped through it. The book was yellow and had rows of tiny holes gnawed around the edges. But it doesn't affect reading the characters. Every character here is big, so you can still guess the bitten characters. She looked at it and saw that it was a story book. She threw it aside and read several books like this. She guessed which bookstore had closed down and sold the books, and if it was a collection of books, it was not so consistent. Yuan opened the bags again, and one of them contained some seeds. This kind of food is useful to her, so she calls her waiter. What do you fancy, young guest? Yuan pointed to the cloth bag. Are all the seeds inside? Are there any more? What kind of seeds are they? The waiter shook his head. Sir, there is only this bag. I don't know what kind of seeds it is. Our boss put it here and sold it if someone bought it. Oh, how much is this bag? Yuan saw that there were more than a dozen kinds of seeds in the bag, which was a bit small. 500 coins, if the guest wants it, I'll give it to you, the waiter said. It's so expensive. The waiter thinks I'm a kid and just yells at the price. Yuan originally thought it was too little. The price was so expensive. She didn't know what kind of seeds they were. No matter how much money she had, she couldn't just let others take advantage of her. Sir, the price was set by the owner. He said these are seeds from other places. They are placed here mainly because no one knows what they are, the waiter said embarrassedly. He also thought it was expensive, but does he dare to violate the boss's order? That's it, then I'll buy it. Yuan didn't even recognize it after hearing it. It must be something that is not available here. She bought it and tried it. Don't you know it when it grows out? Yuan paid 500 yuan and came out carrying the bag. It's almost noon. Yuan was a little tired from shopping, so she walked to Anping Street with her bag. A man and a woman on the street kept paying attention to Yuan. A little girl walked alone on the street and followed her. Yuan had already noticed the man and the woman. Earlier when she came out of the grocery store, she felt two greedy eyes staring at her. Now that she is on the second level of Qi training, she is very sensitive to such a malicious aura. Then he locked on the man and the woman. In a small alley on Anping Street, the man and woman saw Yuan turning in, and they turned in without hesitation. When they were halfway in, a girl's voice suddenly sounded, I've been waiting for you for a long time before coming. It's so slow. What are you talking about, slow? The two of them were confused. Yuan tiptoed, rushed towards the two of them, and quickly tapped their acupuncture points. Why are you following me? Are you a flower girl? The two of them didn't understand the situation at all. When Yuan asked, they reacted instantly and gritted their teeth without saying a word. You have a tough mouth. Yuan stepped forward and quickly clicked on the two of them. Ah, it hurt so much, the two of them couldn't help but murmured. If you don't say anything, I'll have to kill you. Yuan let out a chill that made the two of them shiver. What she hates the most is this human trafficker. She will kill everyone she catches. Countless people like him died in her hands in her previous life. Domestic, international, no matter it is an individual or a gang, as long as she has time, no one can escape if they are watched by her. A man and a woman stared at the little girl in front of them, their eyes were like those of Shura from hell. We are. The woman couldn't help but said it. You still have a gang. The two of them were silent at this time. Yuan saw that this place was not suitable for interrogation. She waved her hand and the two of them disappeared. Yuan quickly left the alley and headed to Yu Mansion. After lunch, Aunt Chu put away the bowls and chopsticks, and said to Yuan, "Miss, my slave has brewed 10 jars of fruit wine, each jar weighing 10 kilograms, and they are all in the cellar." Yuan, "Okay, I will go and have a look when I have time." "How is the person who bought it today?" Guanxi Xiao sent 10 people to Zhuangzi. Yuan, "Let Xiaobo bring the 30 people to my yard." Always let Aunt Chu wait on her, but Aunt Chu can't do her own thing well, so she has to choose a girl to wait in front of her. "I'll be there soon," Aunt Chu said, carrying the plate and leaving. After burning half a stick of incense, Xiaobo stood in the courtyard with 30 people. "Miss, people have brought it," Xiaobo came to report. Yuan came out and saw 30 people standing in 3 rows. She scanned everyone one by one. "Those who have been housekeepers come forward." Immediately 2 men in grey gowns stood up, one in his 30s and the other in his 40s. Yuan pointed at the 30-year-old and said, "What is your name? Can you read and keep accounts? Tell me what you have done before." The man bowed and said, "My slave Wang Yuhua can read and keep accounts. He used to be a housekeeper in the house of a wealthy businessman in Fukan. He was framed and sold by his master because he was accused of enriching himself." Yuan did not say anything. She said to the 40-year-old man, "You can also tell me." The man also bowed, "Miss, this old slave is the Zhongzheng of the county next door. He works as a housekeeper for Wang Yuan's family in the county. He can read and keep accounts. Wang Yuan's family was confiscated because they colluded with bandits, and all the servants were sold. These are all from wealthy families." Yuan saw that Wang Yuhua's eyes were clean and he did not dodge. This man must have been framed. Wang Yuhua should go to the restaurant to work as a bookkeeper and cooperate with Xiaobo. Zhongzheng should stay in the house and take care of the house. "I will hand over to Xiaobo later." "Yes," the 2 men replied and stepped aside. Yuan glanced at the people below again. A woman who knows some martial arts is an exception. A girl of 15 or 16 years old walked out immediately below, looking a bit heroic. Yuan glanced at her twice, and suddenly she punched the girl. The girl reacted very quickly. She sensed the wind of the fist and moved away from her. "Don't hide, attack," Yuan shouted. Sure enough, the girl changed her steps and attacked with both fists. So the 2 started fighting in the garden, and Yuan became more and more excited as they fought. This girl had good skills. The 2 of them fought 100 times, and the girl was defeated. "Miss, I surrender." Miss is very skilled. By now, everyone knows that their young lady is a very dangerous person. In fact, Yuan only used 2 moves to fight, but it is really good that the girl can fight her with 100 moves. "You're not bad, what's your name? Stay with me from now on." Others were envious when they saw that this girl could stay with the young lady, but it was a pity that they didn't know martial arts. "Thank you, miss, my servant Zhang Xuanji," and then step aside and stand. Yuan looked at the people standing below again. A man knows how to do kung fu. 5 of them came out. Yuan nodded. Shopkeeper Wu did a good job. She picked one named Xiao and surnamed Wang to be the guards of Yu Mansion, while the other 3 were sent to the restaurant. After Yuan arranged a group of people, she said, "From now on, you can work well wherever I tell you. If you have any evil thoughts, I don't mind sending you to the west. In my Yu Mansion, it doesn't matter, but you must be loyal to me and loyal to Yufu." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 39. Chapter 39. The people from the old house are here. Everyone knelt down and said, "I will obey the teachings of the young lady and will never betray the young lady or the rest of the government." Very good. As long as you work seriously and work hard, I will see it and won't treat you badly. Uncle Xiao will tell you the monthly payment for each person. You can go on like this for now. Yuan was satisfied. He nodded. She certainly understands the principle of giving a sweet date after hitting a stick. Xiaobo took the people down, while Zhang Xuanjian stayed in the courtyard. Xuanjian, pack your things and live in the house next to Aunt Chu's. Zhang Xuanjian bowed and went out. Yuan returned to the house, closed the doors and windows, and then entered the space. In the space, the two people still maintained their frozen posture. The little snake jumped over quickly and said, "Master, the little snake is hungry." Yuan stared at it. "How come you didn't die after being hungry for 800 years? As soon as the little snake heard this, it immediately wrapped itself around Yuan's wrist and rubbed against her. Okay, I'm still acting like a spoiled brat even at my age." Yuan was also drunk, and the mythical beast was shameless and unstoppable. She scooped a cup of spiritual spring water and threw it to the little snake, and then came to the two white tigers. The two white tigers had opened their eyes and whined when they saw Yuan coming. Yuan stepped forward and picked up the two. They looked like little puppies for more than a month now. They were so cute. She teased the white tigers for a while and got them some food. Oddly enough, as long as they eat food produced in space, they won't starve to death even if they don't feed them for several days. After serving 3 of them, Yuan returned to the 2 of them. The 2 were so hungry that they could not help but tremble when they saw her coming. Yuan stared at the 2 of them. "You'd better tell everything you know, or I'll feed you to snakes." "Little snake, master, I don't eat people." The 2 of them bit their chapped lips, and the woman said, I told you, will you let us go?" Yuan nodded, "Okay. Woman, we are indeed a gang. We, my husband and I, are in charge of Daxing County. Our master is, yes." As the woman spoke, she looked at the man. Seeing that he didn't respond, she continued, "It's Lin Xiongnan, the master of the Lin family in the county town." "Lin Xiongnan," Yuan frowned. She heard it at the tea house yesterday. Lin Xiongnan, a good man in Daxing County, turned out to be a wolf in sheep's clothing. "Where will you hand over the child you kidnapped?" Since he is a kind person, the handover location will definitely not be at his home, but somewhere unexpected. In a village in the south of the city, he was handed over and left directly from the mountains. As for who picked him up, we don't know. The woman explained the matter clearly. "Well, even if you want to know about this kind of transaction, I won't let you know. They are smart. They walk in the mountains, which is safer and easier to hide people." Yuan searched the 2 of them cleanly and found a lot of silver notes. He found more than 600 taels in the man, more than 100 taels in the woman, and more than 23 taels of loose silver. Yuan had no intention of letting these 2 people go. She abducted so many children and should go to hell. Don't show any mercy to this kind of person. If you let him go, it will be a disaster. They will try every means to retaliate and want such people to put down their butcher's knife and become a Buddha immediately. This is what people who are not awake can imagine. Your words don't count. You lied to us." When Yuan finished searching the 2 of them, the woman finally realized that something was wrong, and cried and cursed at Yuan heartbreakingly, which was as unpleasant as it could be. Yuan holds her hand a little bit and the woman shuts up. The man's vicious eyes glared at Yuan, as if he was gouging Yuan into pieces. It's useless to keep an eye on them. You can fend for yourself here. Before you die, you can imagine the children who were abducted by you. You will die more comfortably. Yuan didn't even look at the 2 dead dog-like people. She planted the seeds she bought today and made room. The next day, after Yuan practiced, she asked Xuanjian to hitch the carriage and she was going to go back to town to pick up her family. "Miss, the carriage has been hitched," Xuanjian reported back. "Xuanjian, Go find Chiaoda and ask him to get out of the carriage, and ask Uncle Zone to come over. I'll explain the good things and we'll set off back to Qinglian town immediately. Yuan took advantage of this time to quickly go to the cellar, put all the fruit wine into the space, and left 10 bags of fruit for Aunt Chu. Miss, are you looking for an old slave? Yuan came back, just as Uncle Zong arrived. Well, I'm going back to the town to pick up the master, wife, young master and young ladies. You will house the second courtyard for the master and his wife. The third courtyard will be for the eldest and seventh young masters, and the fourth courtyard will be for the second and third young masters. In addition, my courtyard, that room is for Miss Six. Yuan arranged the specific matters before getting on the carriage and driving to Qinglian town. The journey was peaceful and we arrived at South Street of Qinglian town in one car. Miss, there seems to be a lot of people around the door, Chiao said as soon as he entered South Street. It's okay, just let it pass without thinking, he must be from Lazai. Sure enough, as the carriage approached, I heard Yu Yang's 12 decibel high-pitched voice, you have lost your conscience, you live in a big house, eat big fish and meat, and wear silks and satins. You have forgotten your roots. I forgot that I have a father, a mother, a brother, and a sister. You Dahai, you are a murderer. If you don't open the door for me today, I will crash and die at your door today. Third brother, please open the door quickly. Mom is already dizzy and hasn't even eaten breakfast or lunch. Third brother, please open the door quickly, Yu Bao's voice said. Third brother, my mother has been calling for so long and you haven't opened the door. You are really unfilial. Our mother has a lot of problems. Doesn't your heart hurt? Yu Lao Er's voice sounded. The carriage was getting closer and closer, and the yelling and cursing was getting louder and louder. Even the neighbors came out to complain. Didn't this family just move here a few days ago? Is it really as bad as the old woman said? Didn't that one claim to have an eldest brother and a second brother? There are so many sons and only the son has food. I think he is here to fight the autumn wind. Oh. Yuan opened some curtains and looked. She was a woman about 40 years old, holding a baby in her arms. Yuan gave her a thumbs up. Humph. I think this third son is not a good person. No matter what, he is his father and mother. They can't even open the door and let people in. They have been calling for so long, another woman said. Aunt Zhu, you know what the heck, you have such a big family, why don't you come and take a look? It won't hurt your back to stand and talk, another aunt continued. This family is unfilial. Our country of Great Yan puts filial piety first and the emperors are filial to their parents. We common people should imitate our Feng Huang, said a man dressed as a scholar with horizontal eyebrows and green eyes. Miss, what should we do? Chiaoda stopped the carriage and the gate was blocked. Go down and knock on the door, ask Uncle Zhang to open the door, and ask Uncle Zhu to take the whole family out. The people from this old house are here to make trouble today, and unless things are settled, these vampires will definitely stick around. End of this chapter. The Brave Life of a Space Peasant Girl. Author, Lan Department. Chapter 40. Chapter 40, I won't discuss beating you. Chiaoda got out of the car. He had martial arts skills. He squeezed to the door and knocked on the door. Uncle Zhang opened the door. Miss, let Uncle Zhu lead everyone out. Miss Fourth is back, that's great. Upon hearing this, Zhang Chunyu rushed in and conveyed Yuan's words to Zhu Digi. Okay, I'll do it right away. Lao Zhang, hurry up and tell the young master and the others. Zhu Digi breathed a sigh of relief. The fourth lady was finally back. The father and mother of this master were so scolding. I scolded him for a day and a half, but he still didn't repeat a word. Eldest master, second young master, and third young master, hurry up, the fourth miss is back, she told everyone to get out quickly, hurry up. Zhang Chunyu was panting as he ran. As soon as the brothers who were practicing calligraphy in the house heard Zhang Chunyu's shout, they rushed out of the house and asked, Uncle Zhang, Is it really Xiao Sier who is back? Zhang Chunyu nodded fiercely, well, yes, young master, get out quickly. Yuan didn't know that the people inside were so excited when they heard she was back. Everyone in the old house should wait, someone will take care of you. Yuan got off the carriage. She summoned her spiritual power and shouted, shut up, everyone. If anyone tries to force you further, I will break his legs. Yuan's roar was so loud that their ears were almost deafened and buzzing, and sure enough, they all fell silent. Xuanjian protected Yuan and walked to the door. Yuan stared at the people in the old house with cold eyes. Days ago, I haven't seen this little boy for a few days, and his eyes are killing people. They are all silent, and no one dares to speak out first. If they offend this murderous star, there will be no good fruit to eat. At this time, the door opened, and Yu Heiran led a group of people out. Fourth sister, you are back, Xiaoliu misses you so much. Xiaoliu threw herself into Yuan's arms as soon as she came out, and Xiao followed her silently. Yuan stroked Xiaoliu's head and held her hand. Xiao Sier, the brothers all stepped forward, but they could not hide the look of panic on their faces. Fourth Miss, Zhu Degi stepped forward with a calm expression on his face, protecting Feng from behind. Yuan looked around and saw that Feng was no different from ordinary people except that she was very weak. Yu Dehai looked at the people in the old house anxiously and fearfully. Xiao Qi was hugging Peng. Seeing so many people, he hugged Peng's neck tightly with timid eyes. The people in this old house have been persecuted by this family, and I'm afraid they won't be able to get out of that shadow for a long time. Yuan comforted her softly, don't worry, as long as I'm here, no one dares to do anything to us. She turned to Qiaoda and Chuangyan and said, look at me, sir. If anyone wants to come forward and do whatever they want, you can break off their arms or legs. Although these words were not loud, in the ears of the people in the old house, they suddenly felt that their whole body was not well. I originally saw Yu Dehai and his family coming out, and wanted to go up and question them, but after hearing this, who dared to step forward at the risk of their lives? Yuan then watched the whole family coming to Lazai. Except for the one who was studying in a private school, there was no one missing. Lao Yutu hid behind Yu Yangshi. When he saw Yuan's eyes glancing over, he immediately lowered his head and did not dare to look at her. Yu Yang didn't even dare to raise her head, but she didn't forget that Yuan touched her dumb point. The rest of the people didn't dare to speak when they saw the old couple, and they didn't even dare to speak. Even Yu Bao'er was very honest, and he was probably beaten up by Yuaner and was afraid. Yuan spoke, I would like to ask, what do your whole family want to do here? Everyone, you look at me, I look at you, no one says anything. The second child, Yu Dehai, rolled his eyes a few times. He happened to be standing next to Lao Yutu, and he poked Lao Yutu's arm with his hand. Lao Yu saw a family of cowards, and the arrogance he had when he first arrived was now like ashes extinguished by water, completely defeated. Ahem, Xiasi, we heard that you bought a house in the town, and we came to see you and see you. Yuan stared at old Yu coldly, looking at us? Ask the neighbors, are you here to see us? Indeed, you all only have a pair of eyes. Ha ha ha, it's true, this old man is so shameless, he obviously wants to beat and scold him, but he insists on seeing it, but he still comes to the door with his bare hands and his eyes. The ant next door to Yuan couldn't stand it for a long time. She was sitting at the door choosing beans and laughing. The neighbors all burst out laughing. Old Yutu was really ashamed, and his old face was completely lost. He stared at Yu Dehai hatefully. When Yu Dehai saw his father staring at him, he suddenly shrank back. At this time, he really wanted to call his parents into the yard, but he didn't dare. The fourth child was more terrifying than his parents. Yu Yang finally couldn't bear the ridicule from the surrounding neighbors. She didn't know where she got the courage. She pointed at Yuan and scolded, "You bitch, I am your breast. If I want to come in, I can come in. If I want to live, I can live here. You are a scheming little bitch, I betrayed you today, who dares to fart? Pa ba, a series of slaps fell on Yu Yang's face. She was suddenly lifted up by a hand around her neck. Everyone was stunned. It was too fast. They only saw a figure shaking, and then they saw Yu Yang being beaten. When everyone saw Yuan holding Yu Yang's neck with one hand and lifting her up, the neighbors took a breath. The people in the old house were stunned, as if they had seen a ghost. And Ms. Yu Yang was so frightened that she almost died. Her neck was pinched so hard that she couldn't breathe. She was also pinched and lifted up. She felt so suffocated. She exhaled heavily, and her consciousness began to become a little blurry. She wanted to grab Yuan with both hands, but Yuan was a little bit on her hands and feet. She was really like a broken doll, at the mercy of others. Yu Yang was really frightened. She felt like she was going to die and her tongue almost stuck out. Everyone was stunned, and no one thought about asking Yuan to stop. Yuan saw that the effect was almost done. She really hated this family so much. She just wanted to make them fearful and afraid to cause trouble again. She wants to practice cultivation, raise a good family, and open a good restaurant. She doesn't have time for people in the old house in the United States to fool around every day. Yuan let go and threw Yu Yangshi to the ground like a dead dog. She leaned down, stared at the frightened Yu Yangshi and said, "If you dare to curse again in the future, I will cut out your tongue." She stood up and walked to Lao Yutu. "Old man, you'd better take care of this group of people. Whoever dares to come and jump around will not be as lucky as today." Lao Yutu looked at this demon crawling out of hell. He was trembling with fear. Okay, I know, I understand." Yuan nodded with satisfaction and shouted, "Uncle Zhu, bring my parents here." "Oh, come here." Zudigi's hand was also trembling with fear when it was exposed by Yuan. Udahai stood next to Yuan with his head lowered, not daring to express his anger. This little fourth son was too scary. That was when her were spanked as she was told, without any mercy. Yuan looked at Udahai and said, "Dad, I know you miss your grandma. I'll give you a chance and go back with them now." End of this chapter.